The ship landed with a soft hiss on the red soil of Neos. Kim Jia stood by the window, watching the strange twin suns cast purple shadows across the landing field. Her hand rested on Da's broad head, feeling the warm fur beneath her fingers. The tiger's muscles tensed, sensing her anxiety. "Easy," she whispered. "We're a long way from home." Day rumbled in response, yellow eyes fixed on the alien landscape. At 300 kilograms, the enhanced tiger was twice the size of his Earth ancestors, with reinforced bones and heightened senses. More importantly, he shared a psychic bond with Jia that made them move as one. The ship's captain approached, keeping a careful distance from Da. "Dr. Kim, the Lith delegation is waiting. Remember, this mission is critical. Earth needs this alliance." Jia nodded. "I know what's at stake." The landing ramp lowered with a mechanical whine. Jia straightened her blue uniform and walked forward, Da padding silently at her side. The hot air of Neos hit her face, carrying strange, spicy scents. 5 tall figures stood waiting. The Lith looked almost human, except for their silvery skin and eyes with vertical pupils. 4 of them wore simple robes, but the one in the center had elaborate armor that gleamed in the sunlight. Behind him coiled a massive creature that made Jia's breath catch. The shadow beast resembled a giant serpent, but with 6 legs ending in clawed feet. Its scales shifted colors like oil on water, and its head bore a crown of bony spikes. It was at least twice Da's size. "Ambassador Wan," Jia said, bowing slightly. "I am Dr. Kim Jia of Earth. Thank you for welcoming us to Neos." Wan's face remained cold. "So Earth sends a woman and her pet to negotiate with us. We expected someone of actual importance." Jia kept her face calm despite the insult. "I am Earth's foremost expert on interspecies bonds, and Da is my partner, not my pet." Wan laughed, the sound harsh and short. "You humans and your soft ways. You treat animals like equals when they should serve you." He gestured to the shadow beast behind him. "This is Vex, bonded to me for 15 cycles. It has killed 300 enemies and bows to no one." As if on cue, Vex slithered forward, its massive head lowering to examine Da. The shadow beast let out a low hiss, baring teeth like curved daggers. Every human and Lith present tensed. Shadow beasts were known across 3 star systems for their ferocity. Animals exposed to them typically froze or fled in terror. Day did neither. The tiger stood his ground, meeting Vex's gaze directly. His muscles were coiled for action, but he showed no fear. A deep growl rumbled from his chest. Not a challenge, but a clear message: back away. Silence fell over the landing field. Even Wan looked surprised. Vex tilted its head, confusion evident in its posture. Then it reared back, hissing louder, scales flashing morning colors. Still, Day didn't flinch. Through their bond, Jia felt Da's steady resolve. She placed her hand on his back, ready to pull him away if needed, but something told her to wait. After what seemed like eternity, Vex pulled back, returning to Wan's side. The Lith ambassador's expression had changed from dismissal to calculation. "Interesting," he said, studying Jia with new intensity. "Your beast has unusual courage, or perhaps unusual stupidity. Respect is not the same as fear, Ambassador," Jia replied evenly. "On Earth, true bonds are built on mutual trust." Wan's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "How quaint. Well, Dr. Kim, welcome to Neos. Your stay should be educational." He gestured toward a gleaming building in the distance. "The treaty discussions begin tomorrow. Until then, you will be shown to your quarters." As they walked away from the landing field, Jia sensed eyes on her back. She turned to find Wan watching her, his hand resting on Vex's head. The ambassador's face was unreadable, but Jia recognized the look in his eyes. It was the look of someone who had just discovered a potential threat. Jia sat across from Park Jin in her quarters, watching the man pace back and forth. The room the Lith had given them was large but cold, with strange angular furniture that seemed designed for discomfort. "The talks are not going well," Park said, running a hand through his gray hair. As Earth's chief diplomat to the Lith, the worry lines on his face had deepened since their arrival 3 days ago. "They refuse to see us as equals." Da lay at Jia's feet, ears twitching as he listened. Through their bond, Jia sensed his restlessness. The tiger hadn't been allowed to run since they landed. "What exactly did they say?" Jia asked. Park stopped pacing. "They call us the unbonded ones. They think, because no human has ever bonded with a shadow beast, we are lesser beings." He shook his head. "They want mining rights on 3 more Earth colonies in exchange for basic protection." Jia frowned. "That's not a treaty. That's surrender." A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal a young Lith aide. "Ambassador Huan requests your presence in the Great Hall," the aide said, eyes darting nervously to Da. "Both of you." The Great Hall was a vast room with a ceiling that seemed to disappear into darkness. 50 Lith officials stood in a half-circle, each with their shadow beast coiled or crouched behind them. Juan stood in the center, Vex looming at his side. "Dr. Kim," Juan's voice echoed in the chamber, "your diplomat lacks the authority we require. Perhaps you will understand our position better." Jia stepped forward, feeling the weight of all eyes on her. Da moved with her, his claws clicking on the stone floor. "I understand that a fair treaty must benefit both sides," she said. Juan's laugh was sharp. "Fair? You humans are strange. The universe is not fair. The strong command, the weak obey." He gestured to the shadow beasts around the room. "We are strong because we have mastered the greatest predators in the known worlds. What have humans mastered except talking?" Day growled low, and Jia placed a calming hand on his head. "We don't seek to master, Ambassador. We seek to understand. Understanding is for the weak." Juan sneered. "But perhaps I can help you understand this. No human has ever survived bonding with a shadow beast. Your species lacks the mental strength." A murmur ran through the assembled Lith. "Is that why you see us as lesser?" Jia asked. "It is one reason of many," Juan replied. "But I grow tired of these talks. Let me offer a simple challenge instead." He pointed to a large window showing a dark forest beyond the city walls. "The Darkwood Forest, birthplace of all shadow beasts. Survive 3 days there with your tiger, and we will consider your people worthy of real negotiations." Park stepped forward, face pale. "That's a death sentence. No off-worlder has ever." "I accept," Jia said firmly. The room fell silent. Even Juan looked surprised. "Jia, you can't," Park whispered urgently. "The forest is filled with wild shadow beasts. They say reality itself bends there. Do you accept knowing you will likely die?" Juan asked, studying her with new interest. "I accept knowing you expect me to die," Jia corrected. "There's a difference." A small smile touched Juan's lips. "Then it is settled. You enter the forest at dawn. If you emerge after 3 days, we will talk as equals." As the meeting ended, one of the older Lith approached Jia. Unlike the others, his face showed gentle lines from smiling. His shadow beast was smaller, with softer features. "I am Mu," he said quietly. "What you do is brave, but foolish." "Sometimes they're the same thing," Jia replied. Wu glanced around to ensure no one was watching, then pressed a small scroll into her hand. Ancient text, about the true nature of the forest and its beasts. "Read it before you enter." His eyes met hers with urgency. "The Lith have forgotten much about our history. Perhaps a human can remind us." Before Jia could respond, Wu slipped away, lost in the crowd of departing officials. That night, as Da slept, Jia unrolled the scroll and began to read by the light of Neos's 3 moons. What she found made her heart race. The truth was far different from what Juan had claimed. Dawn was only hours away. Dawn broke over Neos with an eerie green light. Jia stood at the edge of the dark wood forest, Dai alert at her side. Behind them, a small group of Lith officials watched, including Juan and his massive shadow beast Vex. "Remember," Juan said, his voice cold, 3 days. "If you try to leave early, it counts as failure." Jia nodded without looking back. The forest before her seemed to pulse with life. Strange plants glowed with soft blue light. The trees were enormous, with trunks wider than 3 humans standing side by side. "The tracking device will monitor your location," Park whispered, pressing a small bag into her hands. "Emergency rations, water purifier, basic medical supplies." "Thanks," Jia said. "If I don't make it out." "You will," Park cut her off. "Earth is counting on you." Jia took a deep breath and stepped into the forest, Da moving like a shadow beside her. The moment they passed the tree line, the air changed. It felt thicker, almost like walking through water. Sounds became muffled. The light from the twin suns barely filtered through the canopy. After an hour of walking, Jia stopped to check her compass. The needle spun wildly, useless. "Great," she muttered. "So much for not getting lost." Day's ears perked up suddenly. Through their bond, Jia felt his alertness spike. Something was watching them. From behind a glowing blue bush, a small shadow beast emerged. It was the size of a fox, with the same shifting color scales as the larger ones, but with only 4 legs and a shorter snout. Jia froze, keeping her breathing steady. The little beast stared at Da with apparent curiosity. Then, to her surprise, it turned and ran away. "That's odd," Jia said to Da. "According to Wu's scroll, even small shadow beasts are territorial." They continued deeper into the forest. Twice more they encountered small shadow beasts, and each time the creatures fled at the sight of Da. It made no sense. By midday, they reached a small clearing with a pond. The water glowed from within, casting rippling light patterns on the surrounding trees. Jia set up a simple camp, then pulled out Wu's scroll. "Listen to this, Da," she said, reading aloud. "In the beginning, the Lith did not command the shadow beasts. They asked, and the beasts answered. It was a joining of minds, not a taking of will." Day rumbled, laying his massive head in her lap. "The modern Lith think they've mastered these creatures," Jia continued. "But according to this, the ancient Lith formed true partnerships with them, like we do with earth animals." She scratched behind Day's ears, feeling his contentment through their bond. As night fell, the forest transformed. Plants that had been merely strange in daylight now glowed with intense colors. Flying creatures with translucent wings darted between trees. The air itself seemed to shimmer. Jia kept a small fire burning, more for comfort than warmth. The night was surprisingly mild. Day lay beside her, but his muscles were tense. His eyes kept tracking movement in the darkness beyond their camp. "What is it?" Jia whispered. Through their bond, she felt it. A presence, massive and ancient, watching them from the shadows. It wasn't threatening, exactly, but its attention felt heavy, like the pressure before a storm. Jia closed her eyes, extending her awareness as she'd been trained. Most humans couldn't sense the psychic plane, but her abilities had made her valuable to Earth's diplomatic corps. Now she reached out, trying to touch the mind watching them. The contact was brief but overwhelming. A consciousness vast and complex brushed against hers, then withdrew quickly. Jia gasped, her eyes flying open. "Did you feel that?" she asked Da, who growled softly in response. Whatever was watching them was no ordinary shadow beast. It was something else entirely. Something the Lith hadn't mentioned. Jia added more wood to the fire and pulled Wu's scroll closer. If she was going to survive the next 2 days, she needed to understand what they were really facing in this forest. The feeling of being watched didn't fade as the night deepened. The second day in the dark wood dawned with purple light filtering through the strange trees. Jia woke with a start, her hand automatically reaching for Da. The tiger was already alert, his ears swiveling to track sounds Jia couldn't hear. "What is it, boy?" she whispered. Through their bond, she felt his tension. Something was coming. Jia quickly packed her small camp, keeping her movements quiet. The feeling of being watched had returned, stronger than before. She reached for her water bottle and found it empty. "We need to find water," she told Da. According to the map she'd studied, a river cut through the center of the forest. This way. They moved carefully between the glowing trees. The forest had changed overnight. Paths that were clear yesterday now blocked by thick vines. It was as if the dark wood itself was shifting around them. Suddenly, Dai froze. A low growl rumbled in his chest. Juv dropped to a crouch beside him, scanning the forest ahead. 3 shadow beasts emerged from behind the trees. Each was the size of a large wolf, with scales that shifted between black and deep purple. Unlike the smaller ones from yesterday, these creatures showed no fear, their eyes locked on Jia with hungry intent. "They're hunting us," Jia realized. The beasts moved with too much purpose, working together to cut off escape routes. This wasn't natural behavior. One beast lunged forward. Dai met it mid-air, his massive body slamming into the shadow creature. They tumbled across the forest floor in a blur of orange fur and shifting scales. The other 2 beasts circled toward Jia. She pulled a small device from her pocket, a sonic emitter designed to discourage Earth predators. It had no effect on the shadow beasts. Dai roared as he fought, keeping one beast at bay, but he couldn't protect Jia from all 3. The largest shadow beast sprang toward her, jaws open to reveal rows of needle-sharp teeth. Jia rolled away, but not fast enough. Claws raked her arm, drawing blood. She gasped in pain, scrambling backward until her back hit a tree. The second beast moved in for the kill. Jia closed her eyes, reaching desperately through her bond with Da, but he was locked in his own battle. A thunderous roar shook the forest. It wasn't Da. Jia's eyes snapped open to see a massive shape crash through the trees. It was a shadow beast larger than any she had seen, even bigger than Wansvax. Its scales shifted between deep blue and silver, and a crown of spikes ran down its back. To Jia's shock, the giant beast attacked the 3 smaller ones. With terrifying speed, it knocked the nearest shadow beast aside with a swipe of its massive claws. The beast flew through the air and crashed into a tree, then slunk away whimpering. The other 2 quickly abandoned their attack, disappearing into the forest. Dai limped to Jia's side, bleeding from several wounds but still standing tall. Together, they watched as the giant shadow beast turned toward them. It made no move to attack. Instead, it studied them with intelligent eyes that glowed like twin moons. Then it lowered its massive head, not in submission, but as if listening to something only it could hear. Jia felt a gentle pressure in her mind. Following instinct, she opened her thoughts as she had been trained to do with Da. _human_. The word wasn't spoken aloud. It formed directly in her mind, ancient and powerful. "Yes," Jia said, her voice barely a whisper. "My name is Jia." The beast tilted its head. "_Y here. Dangerous_. I was challenged to survive 3 days in this forest," Jia explained, amazed that she was communicating with a shadow beast. _lith challenge_. The creature seemed to understand. _lith send hunters. Want you dead_. Jia's blood ran cold. The 3 beasts? Juan sent them to kill me. The great beast made a rumbling sound. _lith leaders fear. Always fear_. Dai moved closer to the giant shadow beast, showing no fear. The beast lowered its head again, meeting Dai's eyes. Something passed between them, a silent communication Jia couldn't quite grasp. "Do you have a name?" Jia asked. "Old ones need no names." The beast's mental voice was like distant thunder. "But you may call me Mun_." Night was falling again. Mun turned to leave, then looked back at Jia. "Not safe here. Follow underscore. Gia followed Mun through the darkening forest, one hand pressed to her wounded arm, the other resting on De's back for support. The giant shadow beast moved with surprising grace, its massive body slipping between trees without disturbing a single branch. After nearly an hour, they reached a cave hidden behind a waterfall of glowing blue liquid. The entrance was narrow, but opened into a large chamber lit by strange crystals growing from the walls. Underscore rest here. Safe underscore. Mun's thoughts brushed against Jia's mind. Jia sank to the ground, exhausted. She pulled out her medical kit and began cleaning the gash on her arm. Dad lay beside her, licking his own wounds. Thank you for saving us, Jia said, looking up at Mun. But why did you help? The great beast settled on the cave floor, folding its 6 legs beneath its body. Its scales shifted to a calm blue color. Underscore long time since human in forest. Longer since human with true bond underscore. Jia finished bandaging her arm. You mean my bond with Da? Underscore yes. Not like lift bonds now. Your bond is old way underscore. Intrigued, Jia pulled out Wu's scroll. Can you tell me about the old ways? This scroll says the Lith used to have true partnerships with shadow beasts. Mun's eyes glowed brighter. Underscore show you underscore. Without warning, Jia's mind filled with images, memories that weren't her own. She saw the darkwood forest hundreds of years ago, Lith and shadow beasts living together in harmony. The beasts weren't controlled or forced. They chose their partners based on matching minds and hearts. Then the images changed. New Lith leaders rose to power. They wanted to use shadow beasts as weapons to conquer other worlds. They created devices to force bonds and control the beasts. Pain. Slavery. The free shadow beasts retreated deeper into the forest. Jia gasped as Mun broke the connection. That's horrible. The modern Lith are enslaving you. Underscore some remember old ways. Few. Most forget underscore. De moved closer to Mun, seemingly unafraid of the massive creature. The tiger sniffed at Mun's scales, then looked back at Jia with clear eyes. Through their bond, Jia felt De's thoughts. He trusted Mun. More than that, he recognized Mun as kin in some way she didn't understand. That's why the smaller shadow beasts ran from Da, Jia realized. And why Da wasn't afraid of Vex. Earth predators still form natural bonds with humans. We never tried to control them by force. Underscore yes. Your beast remembers what Lith forgot. True strength comes from choice, not chains underscore. Jia thought of Juan and his arrogance. The Lith think they're superior because they command shadow beasts, but they've actually corrupted the original bond. Mun's mind voice grew sad. Underscore many generations. Pain becomes normal underscore. Outside the cave, the forest grew darker. Strange calls echoed through the trees. Jia knew she should sleep, but her mind was racing with all she had learned. Can the old ways come back? She asked. Underscore perhaps, if someone shows the way underscore. Jia leaned back against the cave wall, thinking. Then she had an idea so strange she almost dismissed it. But something made her speak. Mun, can a human bond with a shadow beast? Not by force, but the old way. The great beast's eyes widened. Underscore never happened, but never tried underscore. Would you be willing to try with me? Jia's heart pounded. Not to replace my bond with Da, but alongside it. Mun was silent for a long moment. Underscore dangerous. 2 bonds might break your mind underscore. Or it might show the Lith another way. Jia countered. If a human can form a respectful bond with both an earth animal and a shadow beast. De moved to stand between them, looking from Jia to Mun. Through their bond, Jia felt his approval. The tiger understood what she was proposing better than she did herself. Underscore, if you are willing to try, so am I underscore, Mun finally answered. Jia took a deep breath and opened her mind fully, as she had done years ago when first bonding with Da. She felt Mun's consciousness approach her own, vast and ancient like the forest itself. When their minds touched, a flash of blue light filled the cave. The connection formed instantly, stronger than anything Jia had experienced before, and something unexpected happened. The bonds didn't compete. They resonated, creating a three-way connection between human, tiger, and shadow beast that pulsed with power. A psychic wave rippled outward from the cave, washing over the entire forest. Every shadow beast in the Darkwood felt it. Dawn of the third day broke over the Darkwood forest. Jia stood at the mouth of the cave, watching the strange purple light filter through the trees. The dual bond hummed in her mind like a perfect song, Da's familiar warmth blending with Mun's ancient wisdom. "The final day," she said softly. "We need to reach the edge of the forest by sunset. Huan will not let you leave, Mun warned. Not now, Jia knew he was right. The psychic wave from their bonding had been felt throughout the forest. Juan would know something had happened, even if he didn't understand what. "Then we face him together," she said. They set out, moving swiftly through the forest. Jia rode on Mun's broad back, her hand resting on his scales, while Day ran alongside them. Through their three-way bond, they moved as one being, perfectly coordinated. Small shadow beasts watched from the trees, no longer hiding or running. Some even followed at a distance, drawn by the new bond they sensed. By midday, they reached a large clearing. Jia slid from Mun's back, suddenly alert. Through their bond, she felt danger approaching. "They're coming," she said. Many lith. Many bound beasts, Mun's thoughts were calm but serious. Moments later, Juan emerged from the trees. 5 elite Lith warriors flanked him, each with their own shadow beast. Vex slithered at Juan's side, scales flashing angry red. "So," Juan's voice was cold as ice. "The human found an ally. How disappointing." Jia stepped forward, Dai and Mun beside her. "The challenge was to survive 3 days. I've done that." "The challenge," Juan spat, "was to survive on your own merits. Not by stealing one of our beasts." "I stole nothing," Jia replied evenly. "Mun chose to bond with me freely, the way shadow beasts once bonded with the Lith before you started enslaving them." Juan's face darkened with rage. "Lies. The beasts exist to serve us." From the edge of the clearing, a voice called out, "She speaks the truth." Juan. Wu stepped into view, leaning on a walking stick. Behind him came other Lith, older ones, scholars and elders. Their shadow beasts moved freely beside them, not controlled but partnered. "The old scrolls don't lie," Wu continued. "We have suspected for years that the modern bonding methods were corrupt versions of the ancient ways." Juan sneered. "Old fool. The ancient ways were weak. We improved them." "You perverted them," Jia corrected. She stepped closer to Juan, unafraid now. "Your people once had true partnerships with these magnificent creatures. Now you force them to obey through pain." She turned to face Vex, Juan's enormous shadow beast. Using her new connection with Mun, she reached out mentally to the enslaved creature. You don't have to obey him, she sent the thought gently. You can be free, Vex's head snapped up, its eyes locking with Jia's. For the first time, she saw the pain behind its fierce gaze, years of forced servitude and punishment. "What are you doing?" Juan demanded, suddenly nervous. "Stop that at once." But the connection was already forming. Through Jia and Mun, Vex felt what a true bond could be. Partnership instead of slavery. The great beast trembled, its scales shifting from red to blue. Commanded to attack. Juan shouted at his warriors. "Kill her now." The warriors raised their control devices, but their shadow beasts hesitated. They too had felt the psychic wave. They too could sense Vex's awakening. With a mighty roar, Vex reared up. Its massive body shuddered as it fought against years of conditioning. Then, In one decisive movement, it turned away from Huan. The Lith ambassador stumbled backward. Impossible. Vex, come back. I command you. But Vex moved to stand beside Mun, its head lowered in respect to the older beast. Huan's face contorted with fury and fear. Without his beast, he was just a man, no longer the powerful ambassador who commanded respect through terror. You've ruined everything, he hissed at Jia. No, Wu said, stepping forward. She has reminded us of who we once were. The old Lith looked at the gathered elders. It's time to remember our true heritage. One by one, the warriors' shadow beasts pulled away from their masters, drawn to the truth they could now feel. Jia looked at Huan, who stood alone and powerless. Now, she said quietly, we can begin real negotiations. Word spread quickly through the city of what happened in the Darkwood Forest. Within days, all Lith knew that a human had formed a willing bond with a shadow beast, something their leaders had claimed was impossible. Jia sat in a large meeting hall, watching as Lith from all walks of life argued loudly. On one side stood Wu and the elders who supported a return to the old ways. On the other stood those loyal to Huan, who feared losing their power. The old ways were abandoned for a reason, shouted a young Lith commander. Our empire grew because we controlled the beasts, not because we asked nicely. And at what cost? Wu countered. Our beasts suffer. They serve from fear, not loyalty. Outside the windows, shadow beasts roamed freely through the city streets for the first time in generations. Some stayed with their Lith partners by choice. Others had broken their bonds completely. Da lay at Jia's feet, watchful but calm. Through their bond, she felt his contentment. Mun waited outside, too large for the meeting hall, but connected to Jia's mind just the same. Park approached, looking tired but happy. Earth Command is pleased, he whispered. The Lith Council has agreed to new treaty talks next week. As equals. Jia nodded. That's good, but the divide among the Lith worries me. Her concern was justified. That evening, alarms rang throughout the city. Huan and his supporters had taken control of the military headquarters. He's staging a coup, Park explained as guards rushed them to a secure room. He's telling soldiers that the freed shadow beasts will seek revenge for generations of abuse. Jia closed her eyes, reaching out through her bond with Mun. Is that true? Will the beasts seek revenge? Mun's answer came with a sense of calm wisdom. Some might. Pain causes anger, but most want peace. Choice is what matters. An hour later, Wu entered their room. Huan demands we return to the old system. He threatens to use weapons against any free shadow beasts. Let me talk to him, Jia said. Too dangerous, Park objected. I must try, Jia insisted. This conflict could destroy everything we've worked for. With reluctance, they agreed. Jia walked to the military headquarters, Dai at her side. Mun followed at a distance, his massive form causing people to scatter. Guards stopped her at the entrance. Huan will see only you, they said. No beasts. Jia knelt beside Da. Wait here, she said. Through their bond, she felt his worry. I'll be fine. Inside, she found Huan surrounded by armed guards. Without Vex, he seemed smaller somehow, his arrogance replaced by desperate anger. Come to gloat. He spat. I came to understand. Jia replied calmly. Why fight so hard against a better way? Huan's face twisted. Better? You've destroyed centuries of order. Without control over the beasts, how will we maintain our place? By earning it, Jia said. True respect can't be forced. Pretty words from a pretty mouth. Huan sneered. But I've planned for this moment. He pulled out a small device. This transmitter will activate pain implants in every shadow beast in the city. They'll go mad with agony. Jia felt a chill run down her spine. You would torture innocent creatures just to keep power. I would maintain order, Huan corrected, finger hovering over the button. But as he moved to press it, The floor shook. The wall behind him exploded inward. Vex burst through the rubble, its massive body moving with purpose. Guards scattered, firing weapons that bounced harmlessly off Vex's scales. With one swift motion, the shadow beast knocked Quan down and crushed the device under its clawed foot. Juan stared up in terror. "Vex, please." The great beast lowered its head until its eyes were level with Juan's. Then, instead of killing him, it simply turned away. The message was clear. Vex chose not to seek revenge. It chose freedom instead. With Juan's coup defeated, the path to reform lay open. That night, as Gia sat between Da and Mun under Neos' 3 moons, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. "We did it," she whispered, one hand on Da's fur, the other on Mun's scales. Through their 3-way bond, joy and contentment flowed like a river. The revolution had begun, not with violence, but with choice. 6 months passed. The landscape of Neos had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Gia stood on a balcony overlooking a wide courtyard. Below, Lith and humans moved together in groups, each accompanied by various creatures. Some had shadow beasts of different sizes. Others worked with animals brought from Earth. The air buzzed with conversation and purpose. "The bonding school exceeds all expectations," Park said, joining her at the railing. He looked different now, more relaxed, with new confidence in his bearing. "Earth Command is impressed. They've approved funding for 3 more schools on different planets." Gia smiled. "It's not just about bonding with beasts. It's about understanding each other." In the center of the courtyard, Dai and Mun demonstrated a training exercise. The massive shadow beast moved in perfect sync with the tiger, their bodies forming a dance of power and grace. Students watched in awe, both human and Lith. "Ambassador Wu is ready to sign the final treaty," Park continued. "They're waiting for you in the Great Hall." Gia nodded. The last 6 months had been busy, teaching both species the true way of bonding, healing traumatized shadow beasts, and negotiating a fair alliance between Earth and the Lith. Now that work would be made official. The Great Hall had been transformed. Gone were the cold stone floors and harsh lighting. Now warm colors filled the space, and the ceiling had been opened to the sky. Shadow beasts moved freely among the delegates, no longer forced to stand behind their partners. Wu greeted Joe with a respectful bow. Beside him stood a small shadow beast with gentle eyes. "My friend Tal chose me 3 weeks ago," Wu explained with pride. "We are still learning about each other." Juan was there too, though changed. His arrogance had vanished, replaced by quiet humility. After his failed coup, he had been sentenced to work in the healing centers, caring for shadow beasts too damaged to form new bonds. "Dr. Kim," he acknowledged Joe with a slight nod. "Your methods continue to prove effective. 3 more beasts recovered enough to seek partners yesterday." "I'm glad to hear it," Jia replied. She didn't forgive Juan's actions, but she respected his efforts to make amends. The treaty signing was simple but meaningful. Equal trade routes, shared technology, cultural exchange programs. Most importantly, a commitment from both species to respect the rights of all living beings, human, Lith, shadow beast, or earth animal. After the ceremony, Jia walked through the garden behind the Great Hall. The twin suns cast long shadows across the path. Day and Mun followed, their presence in her mind a constant comfort. A sound made her turn. A young Lith girl and a human boy sat together on a bench. Between them, 2 shadow beast cubs played, tumbling over each other with happy chirps. "That's Ke," the Lith girl explained to the boy, pointing to the smaller cub. "She likes when I scratch behind her crest." "This is Jun," the boy replied, gently stroking the other cub. "He loves to swim." As Jia watched, both children placed their hands on their cubs at the same moment. A soft blue light surrounded them briefly, the sign of a forming bond, happening simultaneously. "Look," the boy gasped. "Did you feel that?" The Lith girl nodded, eyes wide with wonder. "It's like like I can hear Jun too, not just Ki. The cubs chirped happily, sensing the expanded connection. A dual bond, formed naturally between two children of different species. Jia's heart swelled with pride and hope. This was the future she had fought for, one where bonds formed freely across all boundaries. She continued her walk, the setting suns warming her face. Da padded beside her, his fur brushing against her leg. Mun followed, his massive form moving with surprising grace. "We did well," she said softly to her companions. Through their three-way bond, she felt their agreement and contentment. Neither beast bowed to the other. Neither sought to dominate. Instead, they had chosen to stand together with her, creating something new and powerful in the process. Just as humans and Lith would now move forward together, not as master and servant, but as true allies.